Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today, the very first Legendary Tier season of the Arena Mode debuted, and I spent the first couple of games playing the Khabarovsk, which excels in this game mode as a gunboat destroyer because the primary purpose of the Khabarovsk is just to pump out as much damage as possible with its guns, and to do it at long range and dodge incoming salvos from enemy ships. So it really thrives in this arena game mode where it can do that. And in my very first game in the Khabarovsk, I did 238,000 damage and got like 4,000 or 5,000 XP. I don't know what it was, but it was fantastic and it was really fun. I noticed, though, that there are a lot of Shimakazes on the sea, and I decided I would take out the Kleber, because I think the Kleber is actually probably as good as the Khabarovsk for taking out Shimakazes, and I kind of wanted to see how this ship would do in arena. Color me surprised when I got into a 4 versus 4 destroyer game, and all 3 of the enemy ships were Shimakazes. So the message for this video is, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. I know, despite Wargaming's protestations to the contrary, that the Japanese torpedo boat destroyers are the most popular destroyers in this game. And let me see if I can convince you, if you are a dedicated IJN torpedo boat player, that IJN torpedo boats, and the Shimakaze in particular, are one-trick ponies that suck for arena mode. Don't play these ships. Do not play the Shimakaze. It is not good for this mode. Why? Well, take a look at this enemy Shima out here. Ask him, does he enjoy being in a gunfight with a Kleber? And let's pause here as we enter the cap to take note that the Kleber at the legendary tier, out of the other destroyer choices, those being the Shima, of course, the Gearing, and the Khabarovsk, the Kleber is not what you would call the best gunboat. In fact, the reload on these guns, unmodified for the Kleber, is 7 seconds, which I think is a second or half a second faster than the Shima's reload. Maybe? The Shima is around 7 seconds. It may be 7.5. So the Kleber, in terms of its reload time on these guns, is got about the same as the Shimakazes. So there's that. The Gearing, much faster reload. Very, very quick firing guns, good at being an up-close knife fighter versus other DDs. And then the Khabarovsk, somewhere between the Gearing and the Kleber / Shima, with about a 5.5 second reload. All of these, the Kleber, Gearing, Khabarovsk, are better gunboats than the Shima, despite the Kleber's slow reload time. Why? Because the Shima's turrets take forever to turn, and it only has 6 guns. Now, the high explosive can hit pretty hard with these 6 guns, but the Kleber's high explosive and the Khabarovsk's high explosive both hit harder. Both of those have 8 guns, and then the Gearing, while it also has 6 guns, actually the Shimakaze might only have 5 guns. I might have misspoken. The Gearing, while it only has 6 guns, which is 1 more than the Shima has, it fires at a much faster rate, so it can pump out the damage quicker. In other words, the Shimakazes is not an effective gunboat in other DD fights, and in arena mode, fights with other destroyers, if you're going to take out a destroyer, are more likely than not to happen, and you're instantly putting yourself at a disadvantage if you choose to play the Shimakaze over any of the other destroyers. The second thing is, well, the Shima primarily deals damage with its torpedoes, and watch as this Shima eats one of our torpedoes and goes down as our second victim. Torpedoes are less reliable than guns. And what you want, I think, in arena mode is reliability. You want to be able to do all kinds of damage, especially in an arena mode like this, which has the arms race mechanic, where you can get a faster reload on your main battery guns and, that kind of thing to increase your DPM. So you want to be able to pump out as much damage as consistently as possible, and torpedoes are not going to be your friend for that. Why? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one is they take way longer to reload than guns do. They take a really, really long time relative to guns. So between salvos of torpedoes, all you're doing is, sort of sailing around, not doing too much, waiting for your torpedoes to be reloaded. The second thing is that RNG affects torpedoes even more than it does with guns, and in addition to RNG, there is a healthy dose of luck governing whether or not your torpedoes hit their target. And what I mean by that is this. If you send out a spread of torpedoes, and you can do this in any destroyer, test it out for yourselves, you'll notice that the way the torpedoes spread out when they're released from the tubes is not always in a perfect line or perfect sequence. Sometimes two torpedoes get closer together than two other torpedoes in the same spread. Sometimes they just spread apart, they make gaps. Sometimes those gaps are just absolutely perfect for the enemy ship to sail right through and dodge all of the torpedoes. RNG affects your torpedo spread. That's number one. So right there, the control of whether the torpedoes hit is in some sense out of your hands. But then the other thing is torpedoes sail in a straight line in the water, and they take time, no matter how fast they are, to reach the target. And the further you are away, the more time the torpedoes take to reach the target, which means there's more time for the target to slow down, change course, the like. Whatever it's got to do to avoid the torpedoes, which, again, come at it in a straight line with no deviation. All the target has to do is deviate just a little bit, and suddenly a torpedo salvo that would have resulted in a dev strike results in 0 hits. So torpedoes are unreliable. Meanwhile, guns, on the other hand, are very reliable. And you can see this third and final Shima stands no chance. No chance whatsoever. And he goes down. And just like that, with the Kleber, something that doesn't have as good concealment as the Shima, or arguably as good torpedoes, although the Kleber's torpedoes are pretty good, they just don't have a lot of range. Well, we're able to finish that game with 4,200 XP. And just a decisive victory. These Shimas stood no chance. So, in my opinion, the Shimakazes sucks for Arena. And if you want the best chance at grinding the most XP to get the most goodies out of this season of Arena, my recommendation is you take literally any other legendary tier ship besides the Shimakazes. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Hopefully it doesn't ruffle your feathers too much. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.